talk about today, Adam, and I'm going to spring this on you because I know you love working under pressure.
Yeah.
All right. Here's what I've been thinking about. I would like to solve social media problem number 7. Yes, I've made that number up, and we can talk about numbers in another podcast. However, right now I've made it problem number 7 of social media problems.
Okay.
Okay, here's social media problem number 7. Keyboard cowboys, armchair critics, the Karens of the world,
Oh.
the Debbie Downers, all those who get in on the comments of a post on Facebook or whatever platform is happening. The fun is in the comments, isn't it? Because suddenly there is war. And then you'll find that person,
war, yeah.
You know, the person who posts like the Michael Jackson meme eating the popcorn? That's me. I'm that bitch. I'm that Michael. Just sitting in those comments, watching what's going on. And the thing is, right, when you see it all starting to blow up out of control, yeah, what it brings up is words like harsh, nasty, negative, and people are even pre-framing sometimes. When they do a post, they'll say, please no negative comments, or please, you know, don't be nasty. So they're already preempting that there's going to be people who want to chime in and have their say on the whole thing. And where that leads to is judgment of not only the person who makes the post, but judgment of all the different various comments as well. We start judging their upbringing, their financial status, their intelligence, their beliefs, their lifestyle. We get very personal very quickly in the comments of posts. Now, here's where I believe the core of the problem is, Adam, and then I will hand to you to give thoughts. Okay? You and I know, because we are NLP junkies, we are mindset porn lovers, that when it comes to communication, 7% are words, 38% is your tone of voice, and 55% is your body language. So that means when you are reading a post on a social platform, when it's just the written word, you are actually only taking in 7% of that communication. 93% of that communication is unavailable to you. So no wonder there's so much misunderstanding and miscommunication. And perhaps if we can, you know, pause for just a hot fucking second before posting our response and recognize, actually even think about, well, how does that comment sound in my head? Because we're missing out on the body language of a person. You know, you and I can sit and talk to each other, and straight away, if you ask me how I was, you know, how are you, Ali? And I'm like slumped over and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. You'd be like, yeah, okay. Let's talk about that. Because you would be reading instinctively, and we all do it, don't we? We read instinctively off the vibe someone's giving off from their body language and their tone in their voice. That beautiful saying, you know, it's not what you said, it's how you said it.
Yeah.
And so when we get onto social media where it's just the written word, we miss all of that. So who the hell are we to come in with a judgmental response, which is actually what I'm doing now. I'm having a big judgmental response. No judgment.
Has anything happened that you would like to talk about? Any comments on any post anywhere? I think you're right, and it's mad that you're wanting to talk about this today, because only yesterday I was literally, someone's made an innocent, funny post, and then there was literally like 147 comments underneath. So of course you have to look.
You have to. Yeah, it's
You have to look like, oh, what's all this about? And it's all like, oh my God, a raft of opinion,
yeah,
which are just that. They're just opinions, and everyone's trying to, so you get the phrases such as, why don't you just, or you should, or
yes,
how about you do blah 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 blah. How about you just? It's just like, oh, so yes, it's words, but what I also noticed is it's the use of capital letters
all the
and
shouting,
and
yes,
sarcasm, the amount of question marks and um, exclamation marks, etc., etc. That can that can really add to things, and again, can get misread. Um, Everyone's got something to prove for some reason.
mm,
Um, and really, I think it comes down to the fact that everybody just wants to be heard, don't they? Or there's something within them that's been triggered by, or that they've allowed to be triggered by someone else. There's what they've said. Well, of course, on social media, it's either the meme itself or a little cheeky GIF to express a point, or there's so many different ways of communicating now.
yeah, yeah,
But generally, I find everyone's just scrambling to be heard.
yeah,
Um, you know,
exactly.
whether somebody else wants to listen or not.
Just hearing what you're saying right there, something really interesting that I hadn't picked up before. When you break it down, that 93% of the communication is unavailable to us. So that's tone of voice and body language. How many comments I've read that start with, it sounds like you, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
See how we're like that language itself. You don't know how that person sounds. You are actually making a presumption in your own head, aren't you?
Yeah.
Of what it sounds like and putting it into your preferred meaning.
Yeah.
And then responding to it, right?
Absolutely. Like what I'm hearing is,
yes, there's another one. Good one.
Yeah, absolutely. However, to the same thing, someone could say, well, it looks to me like blah 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 blah. And again,
Yeah.
and in being NLP junkies, everybody filters information differently. Where they've either heard it, they've seen it, you know, um, it's fascinating. It is fascinating.
It
The
really is.
social media thing. I mean, I used to weigh in on things years ago, and now I just don't even bother because
Yeah.
just what's the point? It's not very often you get oh, how judgmental is this? An intelligent conversation.
Well, and the thing is,
Healthy
with
debate.
healthy debate does not happen on social media. Let's be
No.
honest, does it? It's and like you said, it's all opinions, and opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. So
Yeah.
it's that funny thing that you're never going to convince someone of your way of thinking by arguing with them on social media. It's not like someone's going to read your comment and go, oh, thank you for pointing that out. I
Oh,
actually am an asshole.
I'm so thankful for being corrected there. Yeah, it just doesn't work.
No. So yeah, you sort of get to that place, I suppose, where you think, what's the point? And the point is to learn about human behavior on social media and watch the comments fly.
Oh
The
yeah,
other
absolutely.
the other thing I think weighs in on this, Adam, is we talked about this, I think, let's just say before. I don't know what episode it was. Is that if it's not a problem for them, then they belittle it being a problem for anyone else. Example that got me all started on thinking about this. Someone posted on a community, platform to for people when they're walking their dogs to please keep them on a leash. You know, even if your dog is really friendly, when it's in a public space, could you please keep it on a leash? You know, be a responsible dog owner. And if you want to have your dog off a leash and play with a ball, yada, 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 go to dog parks and places that are set out for that. That was it. That was the post. And there are hundreds of comments on there of people saying, you know, well, it sounds like taking your dog for a walk is a responsible thing to do. So whether it's on a lead or not, that sounds like a you problem. And maybe you're not a responsible dog owner because you've got an aggressive dog. And it, you know, it's suddenly just throwing all this stuff out there. And the funniest thing I saw was that someone who knew someone responded to a comment that was just bashing the poster and said, hey, mate, you don't even have a dog. So what are you even on here for? And it killed me. I was pissing myself laughing. And so I thought, yes, you know, if it's not a problem, if you don't see the problem, then I think it's easier to, like I said, sort of belittle what the other person might be feeling. You know, like, oh, get
100%.
over it. You're being stupid, that kind of thing. And, and I lost my train of thought, but it was something you said before about people just wanting to be heard. Like the guy, he doesn't even have a dog, but he wants to wait. He wants to be part of what's going on, part of the movement, right?
Yeah. And it's, I mean, it just uncovers the subject of perception, doesn't it? You know, you're live this morning talking about, you know, problems. What really are they? You know, one of my favorite things I've ever heard from public speaker, you know, from a public speaker is when you feel like the problem is bigger than you just need to become bigger than the problem, and then it's not a problem anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
And I always think like that, you know, because we're all human. We all have moments, you know, me included, of thinking, "Oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do?" And then you just have to change your perspective. You know, what are the positives? What can, you know, firstly be thankful for? And you know, the same with social media posts. Looking at them, you think, "Well, that was funny," or you know, like, "Oh dear, well," and just you know, let the battle rage over
Yeah.
there. You know, do you need to get involved in the war? You know, when I used to teach traders how to trade in the financial markets, you know, traders used to be like, "Oh, I want to be in the market all the time. I want to be doing it, blah, blah, blah. You know, I want to trade in the news, high impact news items, and which is when the market goes mental." I used to say to people, "Look, you know, it's like there's a war going on, and you've got two sides. You're better to let everybody just have the shootout and then walk through the middle. Sadly, this is going to sound harsh when everyone's dead, rather than try and walk through the middle of a gunfight. You know, it's better just to stay out until, well, generally it's not worth weighing in anyway, is it? I always find.
Well, if that's the thing, isn't it? It's asking yourself, okay, well, hang on, what's my purpose here of getting involved in this?
Yeah,
Is this really a problem for me, or is this what's my intention? What's my purpose? And if you're struggling to find that purpose, then it's not for you. Back out and
absolutely.
you know,
And I mean, and then you kind of come into a slight dilemma because sometimes it's like, well, what, you know, well, you're not going to defend yourself.
yeah,
Well, well, it's like, well, yeah, but silence is the best answer to a fool. And you know, generally, I find it's just like, ugh, don't even bother saying anything because 9 times out of 10, if they're arguing with you, they're not seeing your perspective anyway.
yeah,
And if
true.
you've not, if you know, you can only gauge if someone's got the ability to understand your point of view and then come to either a mutual agreement to agree or disagree, or just completely flat out disagree. You don't
Mm.
know them well enough, so there's no point.
And I mean, like you said, another way to defend yourself is to actually stay in your lane and live your
Yeah.
life to the best that you can.
1,000,000%, 1,000,000%. I had you know, for over a decade, I was teaching people how to trade, and there was this guy messaged me on LinkedIn. I'll keep this short. Basically, he's like massive, like justice of the peace, kind of like criminal, like prosecutor dude from the UK, like
Gotcha.
he's ex-chief constable of Scotland Yard, you know, like big time. And he was like, I'd like to know your credentials and your and I was like, well, first of all, hi, why?
Yep. Hello.
Why? Yeah. And he's like, well, you taught something years ago and they said they keep mentioning your name and you know, I want to know about you. And I was just like, yeah, call me. Never called me. Oh, and he gave him an email, never emailed me for more information. And then about 6 to 12 months later, I posted, you know, just advice about trading and the best way to do it and what not to do. And he weighed in out of the blue, out of nowhere, weighed in out of the blue. Oh well, I guess that means that, and was really sarcastic. I was like, no. And I just stated the facts again. Never heard another thing. You know, it's like, what do you want, mate? What are you trying to do? Like,
Yeah.
sometimes you have to call it out.
Mm,
Sometimes you have to. You know, when it's in those kind of situations in public from someone like that, you
mm.
know, you have to kind of have the courage of your convictions to do it. But stay non-emotional.
Yeah. And I love what you said as well, Adam. You know, in your reply, you didn't make it personal. You didn't make it a war. You stated the facts. I said,
Yeah, it's like, well,
the
who are
facts.
you? Why? And you know, I must admit, when I saw it, I was like, oh, this could,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
this could be interesting. Um, but ultimately, I've done nothing wrong. So it's like, well, okay, if you're gonna come at me, bro, do it,
Yeah. Bring it, bitch.
bring it. But you know, not. But majority of the time, you know, that one time out of 10 times, it was worth doing. But the majority of the time, don't say a damn thing now.
Yeah. And I guess in a way, you know, that example you just gave, I feel like this is me using my language,
Yeah,
that rather than it being you defending yourself, it was more that you were simply reiterating the facts, what you had said. You know, you didn't feel the need to defend yourself because you didn't feel threatened. You didn't feel you'd done
no,
anything. There was no emotional defense coming out, was there? It was simply a, wow, I don't know what's going on with you.
well,
However,
absolutely.
here's the facts. I'll state them again. You know, if you want to chat about it, let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
There's no
Do you know
need to
what?
have a war on social media. Yeah.
Oh, big time. I had a really good meme this morning, a good phrase. Let me just see if I can get it. It was bees never explain to flies why honey is better than shit. I was like,
Wow, there's some depth there.
oh, there's some deep there. Well, I mean,
This
how good is
is
that?
funny.
Bees never waste time explaining to flies why honey is better than shit.
That's a great metaphor.
Isn't it good? I
Really.
literally heard that an hour ago, and here we are talking about this kind of thing. 9 times out of 10, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. It
Yeah.
just, you know,
Just keep buzzing, right? Keep buzzing,
just
doing your
keep buzzing. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean go and get high all day, every day. You know,
buzzing.
I mean, as fun as that would be, yeah, just keep buzzing. Oh, I mean, that's a bumper sticker, isn't it?
Right? I think trademark, taking it.
Yeah, getting it made today.
So I see your awesome metaphor, and I'm going to close then on something that I saved because I thought, wow, I really love that. And I thought of it again when you mentioned perspective. And what it said was, if you're feeling a little blue, make yourself a different color.
Oh, I like
I'm
that.
like, oh, that, damn, I
Yeah.
like that.
Can I have
And
your pink? No.
perspective. Yeah,
Yeah.
hell yeah. You know, And I know even when people sometimes will say they just feel, they visualize, I guess, themselves feeling quite dark and grey or black or colorless, what would happen if we used the immense power of our mind
Yeah,
and actually just colored ourselves in a different color and see what happens,
absolutely.
And sometimes in social media comment wars, a lot of people may color themselves in a shade of red because they just want to go to war and bring up that, that blood rush there. What would happen if we took a pause and painted ourselves a beautiful blue or an aqua or a green, and just cool down a little bit and then keep on buzzing, baby.
Absolutely. Sounds good to
Absolutely.
me.
Yeah.
Bottles of Bombay Sapphire are blue.
That's a drink, isn't it?
That's gin, yeah. Don't reach for the gin. Look at
How do we
me
always,
tying it to alcohol.
I know, I was going to say, how do we tie it into alcohol so often?
Sorry, my twisted brain.
Alcohol or sex,
I mean,
great things
they go
about life.
well together. They go so well together.
Heck yeah. All right, Treasure, it has been a blast. I had fun.
Me too. All right,
And I'll
Dal.
see you next week.
See you next week.
Ciao for
Bye.
now.
Bye.